quietly, and if you like texting and while driving, you're not going to like me because I submitted, and I text, but try not to do it anymore. I don't do it while I'm driving because of obvious things, and you're distracted, and there's some dangers there. And so for regional consistency and public safety, I've submitted a proposed ordinance to ban texting while driving in the county. And the reason being is if it's banned in the city limits of Columbia, well, you shouldn't be able to cross over into the county limits and say, oh, it's fine here, but 10 feet over here, it's not a good idea. And so it's actually a very difficult thing to enforce, but hopefully, if you know that it's against ordinance and you can be cited for it by the Sheriff's Department, it'll deter you, and if it just saves one life, I think it'll be a success. There's some other things on the business front, and Ms. Payne, tell me if I'm being too long-winded. I'm just speaking. I don't know how much exact time we're having. But there's some things on the business front that I'm looking into. I want Richland County, if you talk to leaders of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce, and they'll tell you that there's some problems with Richland County right now as far as whether or not it's being business friendly. And I want Richland County to be business friendly. And so I've got several different initiatives that I'm pushing on that front. I want to take a look at the business license fee. Right now in Richland County, if you open a business, you have to pay a license fee. It's basically, they call it a license fee, but it's really a tax on businesses. And the problem that I see with it is that a business will never incur the expense. They're going to push it to the consumers, or they're going to let somebody go because they have more overhead. And so, I want businesses. Well, Lexington County doesn't have a license fee. So when you're negotiating with a business or someone saying, do I want to go to Lexington County or do I want to go to Richland County? Well, guess what, business owner? You go to Richland, you have to pay X. But if you go a little over here, you don't have to pay that. Well, common sense tells you they're going to probably gravitate a little more to Lexington. So that's something I want to take a hard look at. Again, I have to have 5 other people on council to see it like I do. I'll work on that. There's some other things. Does anyone read the free times? Just Payne.
We had Corey Hutchinson.
Oh, there you go.
It was wonderful.
There you go. Well, if you pick up, actually just yesterday, there's a Free Times article, and one of the things I'm proposing to hopefully get Farmerston support, that what I'm proposing is going to need city council as well. It's basically to co-locate the city and the county's planning, zoning, permitting, licensing departments. Basically, if you want to start a new business, you got a one-stop shop. And sometimes there's certain instances where you need something from the city and the county. Well, I want to make it easy. I don't want you to have to go to the city's business place and then drive across town, pay the meter, go to the county's place. Let's do it one building. And not only that, the business owners coming in, sometimes it can be kind of confusing what you need, what you don't need. But let's make it easy. Let's walk people through. What are you trying to do? You're trying to start a new business. Well, here's your flow chart. You're going to go see X from the city. We're going to walk you across the hall. You're going to go see so-and-so from the county. Let's make it easy for someone located. And also, let's treat it, let's be service-oriented, not process-oriented. Let's treat them like potential customers and let them know that we want their business. And so there's kind of an attitude element there as well. But like I said, these are things I lay awake at night thinking about that I want to get done, but I have to have support elsewhere as well. And so part of that is trying to show your colleagues the worth and value in it. And those are some things I've got several different things I'm working on. But I've probably talked too much. I hope I haven't lost anybody yet. It's Thursday, weekend's almost here. I guess I can open it up for questions. I'm sure there's several questions. Okay, we got one here.
Hey, I'm Catherine. And how will the federal government shutdown impact the country, and what has the country done to deal with it? How will it affect payroll?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. How will the federal government
shutdown impact the country, and what has the country done to deal with it? And also, how will it affect people's payroll?
If it shuts down.
If it shuts down. Well, one of the things, obviously I spend most of my time right now studying politics at the county level, being a county councilman, trying to see what we can do. Well, one of the concerns is obviously there was some federal stimulus money given out, and some local governments there's a concern that some local governments didn't have that stimulus money, that they would be able to meet their obligations, like if they owe contractors or people that are doing work for them, if they can't make their payroll, that could really have an impact on business, on whether or not people who have done work for the county can get paid. And if they don't get paid, their company might go under, things like that. So there is some concern that once the stimulus money runs out, that there will be some local governments out there that haven't perhaps prepared well financially, that if they go under, there could be some drastic effects at the local level. I can tell you right now, one of the things that the legislature is proposing is obviously they have to make some tough decisions. And so they're looking at potentially cutting local government, the county's budget, the funds that they give the county to run services. I've heard numbers around 20%. And another thing that I've heard is that they were going to take into account in their cuts how much money is in a local government's reserve, their saving account. And by statute, you have to have X amount of savings. And that's because if something happens, a catastrophe, you want your local government to have enough to be able to cover something and not keep going out of savings and not having anything. But the problem that I've heard is that legislators, and I know they have to be on their bailiff to find where they're going to cut, is that they're going to take into account how much money is in a local government savings account in determining who gets what. So basically, if you go under that, those that have been maybe financially a little more irresponsible are going to be benefited, while those who have saved over time are going to be punished. Do you see what I'm saying? So there are some impacts from the federal government not bringing funds down, trickling down, and impacts that the legislature would have as far as funding for local government. I hope that answers your question. Another question? All right, great, guys. Well, it's nice to see that. Kidding.
I think Evan is not here.
Oh, I have another question.
Oh.
How did you go about building a positive, enthusiastic message of change during your run towards some?
That's a great question. It's a great question. One of the things I can tell you is that politics, I mean, everyone jokes about it, but politics can get a little dirty. And it's kind of funny because the rumor mill can start to circulate. People can put rumors out. I mean, it's like high school, anything. It doesn't have to be true, but if enough people start circulating it, and everyone knows about rumors, everyone knows how dirty politics is, but when they hear a terrible rumor, they still believe it. Rather than having caution to the wind, maybe this is just dirty politics. People still kind of take that into account, which is probably why people do it, why campaigns do it. And one of the things, particularly when someone of a political campaign feels that they are losing, they're more apt to go negative. And I worked so hard and really took my time to listen to the constituents to see what their needs are, and made efforts to tailor my campaign to those needs. And now that I'm in office, I'm taking steps. I just remembered something that I worked on. That was a promise that I made in the campaign, but I'm taking steps to fulfill my promises. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I was doing very well. I don't know if someone else was polling and saw it. We're in trouble. But they started maybe putting out some things about me that weren't true, just petty stuff. But rather than answer to that, I kept my message positive. I wanted to be a hard-working candidate, and I wanted to be a positive candidate. One that didn't say anything negative. I wanted to talk about where I wanted the county to go and what I wanted to do on council, rather than try to tear somebody down. So, and I think that was appreciated.